Randy effing Quaid.
Oh, boys! I'm back!
Hello, everybody. I am Harry. I am one of your hosts of ParaNormality. With me, as always, is James. How are you doing, James?
What's up, gangster? What's going on?
I'm buzzing for today.
I know.
I'm so excited. So we are back, season 2 of ParaNormality, 7 months after season 1 abruptly finished.
We got some cease and resist letters, didn't we?
Yeah. I will explain what happened. We did have the Men in Black show up at our houses, and they did tell us to stop digging.
Yeah.
No, it's actually far more boring than that. Basically, we hosted a roundtable show with our good friend Wandering Dutch, who I know from other podcasts and sort of like the gaming scene that I'm involved in. And it was an amazing recording.
It was really good.
And we all ended the conversation. It was great, wasn't it, James?
We left buzzing. It was great.
Yeah, it was really genuinely good. And it was going to be a banging episode. I sat down that night, downloaded everyone's audio, and James's audio cut out after 15 seconds.
Correct.
We messaged each other like, oh my God, James, can you look at your audio? You looked at it as well. Literally, your microphone just cut out.
For no reason. Yeah, just...
For no reason, but it
Jumped
didn't
out the
show
window.
that it had cut out.
No,
because
it
we
was
could
an odd
still
one.
hear you.
Yeah.
And I just sat at my computer on a Thursday night, completely defeated.
Yeah.
And I just thought, you know what? I'm going to bleep this. F*** this. I cannot be bothered. And I just messaged James and was like, yeah, I'm not doing the show anymore. No chance. I'm done.
I think I have a little show with my little brother, and every episode was just fun. And the second it stops being fun, what's the point?
So apologies for the delay, but we are back. The very famous words of that old dude in Independence Day.
Randy effing Quaid.
Randy effing Quaid. So James, have you been keeping up with any UFO news at all over the last sort of 6 months?
No.
So it's not been the most exciting few months because all we've had are Chinese spy balloons, objects shot over Yukon, Alaska, and coastal America. We've obviously had Logan Paul has now gained access to the most coveted UFO footage of all time. We've got one of the most high definition sightings of a UFO, possibly of all time, approaching a plane in motion. So yeah, there's also been the orbs that have been spotted. We're going to talk about those at another point because that is a whole discussion about the Arrow judicial report that came out. There's been sightings of UFOs over Ukraine quite heavily. So not too much
It doesn't sound like I missed much.
to jump back into.
No, it's not at all.
Literally, as soon as we stopped it, UFOs just became the big deal again.
See, I told you. It's because we're on.
And I
to
remember when I did keep you up to date with the Chinese spy balloon stuff and the objects.
You did. It was if I'm not really focused on it, I'm just but it's nice to be back in the realm of it. The excitement I feel because it's either absolute dog turd or absolute incredibleness.
I like the dog turd of it as well.
Definitely.
There was the Men in Black episode I did with our mate Geordie Shawn.
Yeah,
it's clearly absolute nonsense, but
some
there's
loner
just
in
something about it. There's just something about it.
Whether it's comes from a point of sanity or insanity, it's just pure imagination. It's just
all you need is for one of these stories to be true, and it changes everything.
Yeah,
and that's the exciting thing. Now there's a bit of dog doo-doo we will talk about today. I'll get into that a bit more because it's a bit long-winded. Firstly, I just wanted to say that if you do enjoy this show, I've got to do the spiel. Please do find us on Twitter. We are at PodNormality. You can find us on Facebook. We are ParaNormality Podcast. But the easiest way to find us is you can go to linktr.ee, linktree, but with a dot between the R and the E, /ParaNormality Podcast. It has a link to everywhere you can listen to our show, all 50 different outlets for it. All your streaming services are on there. It's got a link to our merch shop that I completely forgot that I made, and all our social medias. And you can ask us a question as well. So if you do have a question or you want us to talk about something, go to our link tree, ask away, and we will be happy to bring those up. We did bring one up a few episodes ago, which was nearly a year ago. So yeah, we are happy to look into anything that you want to. So we're going to talk about 3 main things today. We're going to talk about Chinese balloons and objects in America. We are going to talk about the Chuck Clark video and Logan Paul's lapel camera. And then we're going to talk about the Mylar. But we will start with the Chinese balloons. It was first spotted January 28th, and it was ultimately shot down by the US military off of South Carolina. So it literally went from Alaska. If you don't know the states, James, it's literally from like hot northeast, southwest. Yep, top northwest. South Carolina is like near Florida. So it literally came south from Alaska all the way down to the deep south. They tracked it the entire way. They didn't want to shoot it down over America because if they shoot it down over a civilian area, debris could injure someone.
Yeah.
So people in the general populace started to notice this weird orb in the sky. And then people started taking pictures of it and getting their telescopes out. And then the government had to say, yes, this is a Chinese spy balloon. Got shot down on February the 4th. No big deal. Yes, it was a very political issue because it's America and you can't cross the road without it being a political issue these days. But
or getting shot.
Then what happened was a bit weirder. So do you remember with the Nimitz case, James? They saw the objects, but they didn't see them on radar, did they?
No, they didn't, no.
And then they upgraded their radar. And then what happened?
They saw them.
They saw lots of stuff on their radar.
Yeah.
So the Chinese spy balloon wasn't spotted by radar. So obviously there's an issue there. They have to recalibrate their radar. So they've recalibrated their radar, and then anomalous objects start to show up. And the first one was spotted I believe it was spotted in Alaska, the first one. And it was described as, well, it's hard to explain because there's very conflicting information. And this is where that trained observer thing comes in.
Yes, yeah.
So it was described as a silvery metallic object that had a potential payload with tethers, but it had no means of propulsion, yet it was moving and then also stationary in the wind. So very high up altitude, very turbulent, but the thing was motionless.
Yeah.
Lots of people would have already spoken about this on other podcasts, I'm sure, but this is obviously our first opportunity to. And that's when it started to get a bit weird because the US military then just shot it down immediately. They were like, get rid of it, boom, shot the thing down. Then another one.
So the first one, they let travel like the depth of the country. Then the second one.
Yeah. The first one, exactly as you said, they let that thing travel thousands of miles. This one in Alaska, they were like, shoot it down immediately. Bang, gone, shot out the sky. Then another one appeared in the Yukon, but it was like Canada, America airspace. And again, shoot the thing down. Then there were reports that when it was shot down, it shattered. So if it was a balloon, then it would burst and deflate.
Yeah.
But then there were reports that this one that was over Yukon hit the ground and shattered, which doesn't sound like a balloon. Then after that, there was another one. It was off of Lake Huron, which I think is just off of Lake Michigan. So that's a northerly. Oh, it's just outside of Michigan and Toronto. So it's like the border between Canada and America, right up north. And this is one that I quite closely followed because again, they shot this one down over Lake Huron, but then they were sending out lots and lots of military planes to just loop the area. And I remember watching Flight 24/7, the tracker, and they were just constantly sending military vehicles out there. They were saying, there's nothing to be found. They're hobby items from like a local park or club that have sent a Mylar balloon up. Makes no sense why those things would be shot down.
And they shot it immediately because it's a hobby craft.
Immediately. They were like, we shot them down.
Yeah.
Now, the one that was in the Yukon and Alaska potentially could have been linked to like an RC club because they did have a Mylar balloon at that time around about that area, and the tracking details did go down for that specific balloon in that area. But apparently, according to reports, it also pinged after it had been shot down, meaning that it couldn't have been that hobbycraft team.
No.
The thing that gets me is that these things were being described meticulously, and the press releases were coming out, and nothing was being said by the intelligence agencies in America. Nothing. They were radio silent, just saying, we've shot them down, we're going to try and find wreckage. Whoopsie, we can't find wreckage. Here's some high-definition photos of us bringing the Chinese balloon out of the Pacific Ocean. These 3 things that we know where we shot them down, we can't find them. Whoopsie.
Yeah. It's like the Chinese balloon was like a distraction. They put all the media effort into that to cover up the scary,
it's weird. Like,
scary,
if you
shattering UFOs.
If you're going to cover up potentially 3 UAPs being shot down in American airspace, that Chinese balloon was a great way to distract people. Mm-hmm. Now, I've seen the picture of the Chinese balloon. I think, did I send it to you?
Yes.
There's been a picture of it where someone's like in the plane and they're flying past it, and they take a high definition picture. Well, these 3 objects that were shot down, they have also said that they have images of them, but they have yet to be released. And they've said they'll never release them. They don't need to. No one's interested in them. You don't need to see them. Don't worry about it. It's fine. Don't worry.
I think we discussed before in the earlier episodes, like every time they're a bit really quick and really shaky about their decisions and stuff, it always sniffs of lies and secrecy.
Yeah.
And
so that Chinese balloon, they took 7 days, and apparently they've been tracking it for weeks as it came over the Bering Strait, over Alaska, all the way down. They've been tracking this thing. They knew exactly where it was at all times. And then they recalibrate their radar. 3 objects that immediately get shot down. Wreckage never found, ever. Being described pretty much identically as these Tic Tac crafts, where they can be motionless at 10, 20, 30,000 feet doing nothing with no real means of propulsion, just chilling, just doing nothing, just chilling
recon,
out.
as we said, just reconning.
Yeah. I mean, we do that. We've got a helicopter on Mars right now. We send drones to Venus. We're doing it now. We're sending a craft to one of the moons of Jupiter to check for life there. Like, you're going to do it. So you do it, right? You
Isn't it?
send an autonomous thing.
It does feel sim-like, they're like, oh, get the Chinese to send a spy balloon to the Americans and to see what happens, or we watch from afar.
The Chinese spy balloon, I personally believe that it was a weather balloon that did go off course, but then they were able to use some of the technology on board in order to check like radar signals and then also see what the response of the Americans would be. It gets a little bit weirder though, because 3 days after the Chinese spy balloon was shot down, a craft was shot down. Didn't put this in the notes because I wanted to surprise you. Craft was also shot down in a port city of China. Yeah. So straight away after all of this was happening, and it was just after the first object had been shot down in America, there were reports coming out of a port city in China that a craft had been shot down. Port city, China.
Was it described similarly?
To it.
Was it described as stationary?
Here we go. So the object in the States was shot down on the 4th of February, and the object that was in China was shot down on the 12th of February, and it says China ready to down object flying near naval base. Now, the Americans said nothing to do with us. We do not know what that is. The Chinese at no point mentioned that it was anything to do with American intervention. There's a lot of tension in China at the moment, especially with the potential invasion of Taiwan. Mm-hmm. So there is an American military presence in the Chinese airspace often, but no mention of American intervention with this thing. The Chinese had an object themselves show up less than a week after the first object had appeared in America.
I said before, I get scared in this podcast. That's freaky.
That's why I didn't write it in the podcast notes, because no one remembers and no one mentions the fact that there was also an object in China.
I definitely remember hearing about the 3.
It matched every single description of the same objects that was spotted and potentially shot down. They may not have been shot down, the ones in America. I personally don't believe that they were. If you believe what Fravor says, these things jam radar, they can't get missile lock on them, and they can't be fired upon because they can stop weapon systems.
Yeah.
So, did these things even crash? Did they even get taken down? Or did these things just hover about and then say, see you later?
Yeah.
And because they vanished, the Americans just said, we shot them down.
Yeah,
that's why there's no footage. That's why there's no wreckage. That's why there's no cameras. That's why there's no photos. And then an object shows up in China, and it matches the description perfectly. It's weird, right? How does that make you feel, James? Before we move on to the next one, I want to sort of
I'm really unnerved. I'm really unnerved. One, like, don't spring that shit. Bring that out, but don't spring that on me. That's generally kind of terrifying. It just feeds. The more I hear about this, the more I understand it. Is all the sightings that have some form of credibility of the same objects doing the same things. It's really unnerving and really makes you feel tiny. I think I said before, because it just feels like they're just playing and watching when you hear stuff like that.
So off of obviously it's very limited information because we've got a few points to cover today, and I don't want this to be like a 3-hour show, mainly because we can't, because we need to upgrade our subscription on Zencaster, and that cost me 50.
Yeah, our Patreon is no
one day. So genuinely, what is your takeaway then? Your 2-minute summary of my explanation of and obviously have some bias involved, because obviously I want this to be UFOs. Obviously I want this to be more than this.
If it's the Chinese spy balloon, like I said, it just feels. I think it feels like a distraction. Follow this very loud and obnoxious thing in the sky while we deal with these other presences that there are. It's like in the media, every time there's some political storm going on, like this, a royal family member gets ill. It's always just feels very sneaky. The fact you said they followed it for so long, they decided to shoot it down, and I don't think they didn't shoot it down over civilian airspace. I think they were just seeing what would happen. Keep the media on it for so long.
How long did they know about the objects that were in their airspace? Because
that's it. I mean, why? I didn't realize there was different levels of radar. I thought they just scanned the same thing at all times.
No. So, USS Nimitz is a high level radar carrier craft that has much more much sharper resolution radar systems. Okay. There is a video that Jeremy Corbell released a while ago that I will show you. It's a very famous video because it shows an orb going into the water, but it was a series of videos he released, and one of them does show them looking at a radar system. So I'll show you what those tech systems look like in another episode. But how long were those objects defying American airspace laws? And technically it could have been seen as exactly with the USS Nimitz encounter with David Fravor. It could have been seen as an act of war. How long were those objects there? Did they only spot them when the radar was updated, or did they know they were there? And then when they updated the radar, or when they recalibrated it, then they realized they do something about it? Who knows?
It's like unintentional. It's like unintentional brainwashing, and we're drip-fed information. No matter where you look at it, it's filtered, it's diluted. So we don't know.
That is something that's been brought up recently, because there was a press conference not too long ago that was it was just after the AROO, which is basically, it was a US Senate meeting about the phenomena, and then afterwards Joe Biden was answering questions from journalists, but he had a cheat sheet, and he knew all the questions beforehand, and he had very scripted answers that he gave to basically say nothing about it. There's a video a few years ago of Barack Obama saying, we released all the information on aliens. UAPs. We will discuss the ongoing fight for disclosure when we talk about the Nope episode, but there was a lot of momentum that came out of this Chinese spy balloon. Yeah. And I'm a little bit disappointed that it didn't get pressed a bit more, because there were objects flying over American airspace that had been shot down, and the last time that had happened was Roswell. This could be seen as a modern day Roswell, It won't be, because the 24-hour news cycle demands that something else be talked about.
Yeah, plus I'm pretty sure Kim Kardashian bought new shoes that day, so
she did, yeah.
What are we going to do?
Kendall Jenner made another $1 billion or something.
Yeah, she had a pedicure, it was crazy.
But one of the things that you mentioned, that it leads us quite nicely onto this next section, is the matching descriptions of stuff. So obviously the Chinese object that was seen in one of their Navy bases matched all of the same traits and descriptions as the objects they've seen in America. And then that does lead into this one, because the next one is the video. You've watched a video, right, of the craft going past the plane in the cockpit.
Yeah.
So the first thing that struck me is that object is sideways.
Belly forward.
Exactly as Bob Lazar has always stated. These
Bob
crafts
Lazar.
raise up, then they tilt, and then they move with the flat side forward going into the wind, basically, which defies any form of logic or aerodynamics.
Like non-fueled travel. Like, you know, if it's an engine, it's all going to propel you forward, but this one, like, sort of like dimensionally doesn't make any sense to it moving. It falls
into something there.
Yeah.
And
a gravitational well.
Yeah, exactly. Gravitational well sort of thing. It like falls into something. And there has been extensive debate and discussion about this footage. And that's why I wanted to bring it up very briefly, because the next thing that we're going to talk about is very current and is very on vogue. But yeah, this is the video that I'm sure the listeners have seen it, that does show a craft flying past a cockpit of what looks like a small prop plane, like maybe a Cessna. And for me, it's a very clear image of an object that I personally can't attribute to being a Mylar balloon. Have I sent you the picture of the Mylar manatee at all, James?
No.
Okay, so while I just describe what happened, it's a video inside the cockpit of a plane. I believe someone said that it was, where was it? It was in possibly Cambodia or Venezuela.
Yeah, she definitely had like a Latin accent of sorts, I think, in the plane.
And so it's a very high resolution video. And then people have obviously slowed it down and they've taken, it's not a manatee. It's, what are they're like stingrays, but they're massive. That's going to annoy me now.
No, manatees are like sea cows.
It's not.
Manta rays.
Manta ray, that's the one. Mylar manta ray. Yeah, thank you, James. So I'm going to send this picture to you very quickly just on Facebook. And now there are a lot of people that do say that, I'm going to have to change the Facebook and Twitter posts. I put manatees up, haven't I? What an idiot I am. So there are a lot of people, and if you watch the video, that say that, wow, this is clearly just this Mylar manta ray. You can clearly see that it's exactly the same size as this Mylar manta ray.
Yeah.
And it flies past, and if you pause it at this exact moment, here is a picture that I found on Google where this Mylar manta ray looks exactly the same as the image. And I'll concede, yes, it does look very similar. There have been in the past official UFO images shown by the US government that later turned out literally to be a Batman balloon from a child's party that had flown up into the air. Yes, those things happen.
That's the best thing I've ever had.
This manta ray Mylar balloon, it was a French experimental balloon that was made as a one-off. It was so fragile that the thing could not be used outside. It had to be used indoors because any turbulence whatsoever would have ripped the Mylar to pieces. Mylar balloons are very, very fragile. Mylar, you know those awful balloons you used to get on sticks, and they've got that horrible, weird plasticky, that's
like
Mylar.
Spooderman on it.
Yeah. So that is Mylar, that material. So the way that a weather balloon works, for instance, is a massive sheet of Mylar. The higher it goes up, the air temperature changes and also the pressure changes, and it means that the air moves into different positions and it eventually expands into these massive, giant, huge weather balloon, like the Chinese one, for instance. But Mylar is very fragile, and if it's turbulent, then it's prone to tearing. So what you can see in the video is the object going, I personally think it's stationary, and you can see the plane go past it and this object go past the cockpit. It's 4K resolution. It's very clear. I don't buy that this is an experimental French manta ray Mylar balloon that could only be used indoors at 20,000 feet in the middle of God knows where, South America. I don't believe that, personally. Yeah. But what I did want to do, I just wanted to bring up two people from Reddit who did a very, very good breakdown of what happened in that. And then we'll just have a quick chat about what we feel, and then we'll move on to bloody Logan Paul.
Yeah.
So it was dressed in black, was the user on Reddit. They said, I haven't seen anyone else do this. The first appearance I could find of this video is from somebody called OG Crypto. He posted it tagging Jeremy Corbell, who's ignored the video and all the tagging. And OG Crypto basically uploaded this video onto Twitter and tagged anyone that he could think of that had anything to do with UFOs. It was eventually picked up by someone called Jay Alberto, who is a Spanish-speaking UFO blogger. That person initially, then, who was doing all the tagging, then allowed Jay Alberto to then take the video on. They tagged Corbell initially, but then started tagging other UFO believers and even the Guardian newspaper looking for some traction. After tagging Mick West, enemy number one, don't like Mick West. He's not enemy number one, he's just really annoying, and he thinks he knows more about flying fighter jets than actual fighter pilots do. And
classic Mick.
Or he was, classic Mick. Go back
Classic
to Tony
Mick.
Hawk's, mate. Just go back to making Tony Hawk games. He's not a fighter pilot, mate. Shut up.
They are great games.
So tag Mick and other researchers, and that's when we get, it's flying past the Mylar balloon. Mick West basically said, this is a Mylar balloon, it's nothing else. Everyone needs to stop looking at this. I'll read exactly what Mick West said. It looks like they are just flying past something like a Mylar balloon. That was Mick West's response to this brilliant video. He then started tagging someone called Ryan Graves. Now, Ryan Graves is a fighter pilot who was stationed on, I don't remember what the name of the ship was, but he was a fighter pilot that was off of the New York coast, and he had daily interaction with UFOs, and he also crashed into one once, and he described them as opaque cubes with circles inside them, and he states that at one point, him and another fighter jet were about 100 yards away, and this object went in between their wings. So Ryan Graves, he's brilliant. He's someone that I will talk about again in the show, I'm very, very sure. Started tagging Ryan Graves and anyone that he thinks will help this go viral, because at this point, the explanation of it's a manatee, a manta ray, a Mylar manta ray, it's not cutting it.
No.
And Alberto claims that he is also speaking to the pilot of the aircraft, originally identified as a Beechcraft model. They were chatting away on Twitter, sort of back and forth, just discussing the flight and where they were going and where they were from. And she states that the video is called UAPV, and it is totally real. We don't have a time, date, or location. The last frame shows the airspeed indicator on the Cessna T-303 Crusader to be 120 knots, so that's about 105 miles an hour, I think.
Yeah.
It's claimed to be taking over Santa Fe in Colombia in March 2023, so very recent. It's only 2 months old. Then Sweet Sour Sock, sorry if I'm mispronouncing that. Alberto says that he has messaged her and that she's not into UAPs. This is the person that took the video. Apparently she's a model that was just on the plane flying from one place to another. Yeah. She owns a beauty brand and she's a very busy person, which made him feel embarrassed to keep messaging her about UAPs and UFOs. So people were saying, like, why don't you keep asking her? Why don't you keep pressing her on this? Because she had absolutely no interest in it whatsoever. She took
just an interesting video.
She took a video of something that she didn't know what it was. She sent it on to someone else, and she wants nothing to do with it because she does not care about the subject whatsoever. She said that it's an original video, and that she does have another video, but she doesn't want to be famous. She doesn't want people to see it. She doesn't care about the publicity. She doesn't want people messaging her. She just wants to be left alone. So she'll release it if she wants to, but she really doesn't want to. After a few more conversations, she then shared the original video to him through Instagram. After that, he said he would run it on TV. It was a private flight, likely intercity within the continental US. She was not piloting that day, although she had piloted before. She said that she didn't record it, but it was her friend who was with her. She also said it's not necessary to credit that person or to mention her name. She doesn't want to be doxxed. She has a Colombian accent in the video where she describes it. So that links up with the first person saying it was a flight over Colombia. He asked about the date and whether her friend is the pilot. Her answer is not visible. However, Alberto, the person that was doing the investigation, said that the encounter was over Antioquia in Colombia, and it was, as people said before, it was in March of 2023. Again, there's been a lot of talk about this being one of two things. The first thing people say is it's CGI, because how did they know where to be filming? Why did the thing just appear? Because they can see it, and they get their phones out and they record it. And then the other option is it's a Mylar balloon and they flew past it, and the weird shape is because of air pressure. It's a lot of talking that I've done. So what do you think, James?
I think it was like, from watching the video a few times, it wasn't the shape that, confused me, but the fact, from my understanding, balloons in some form of air pressure move and they're not that stable. That thing seemed very still. Even with the interruption of that plane might have interrupted airflow in some way. Plus, I'm guessing she was just filming herself in a plane and she just happened to catch this thing.
Well, her explanation is that she could see the thing. So she saw a thing in the sky, and she was like, get my phone out. And, it's so easy. Like, this is how quick it is to get a camera up. Boom. It takes, 2 seconds that took me to get my camera up.
Yeah.
She sees the thing. She thinks, oh, shit, let me get my camera out. Video. Oh, there it goes. Stop the video. That's why the video is only like 5 seconds long, because she sees something there.
Yeah.
She gets her phone out, she videos it go past her, and then what are you going to do after that? You can't see
it. It wasn't a flash either. It wasn't like a flash video of like, a lot of these both, in Ghost and everything. Every video seems to be quick and nervous, but this one's quite steady. It was quite like, obviously there.
One of the telltale signs of a faked video, especially if it's CGI, which I don't think this is, and no one has said that it's CGI apart from a few people, is that people add artificial camera wobble. Yeah. And if someone is filming something and they're filming something that isn't there, you could try it yourself. It's weird. You imagine that a thing is there, and the way that you follow it isn't natural. You turn in an unnatural way.
Well, your body doesn't instinctively follow anything, does it?
Yeah. And it gives a very false feel to the footage. And it's an easy way to tell if something is fake. Our brains are very good at perceiving when something is wrong, and if we don't know why. It's why in the Justice League, when that Superman's mustache has been edited out, when that even if you don't know that they CGI'd Henry Cavill's mustache out, you look at that picture of his face and your brain knows something right. You don't know what it is. Something is telling you that isn't right.
Uncanny Valley,
of the faked UFO videos, there is a movement about them. There is a way in which the camera is operated that isn't natural. You watch this and it's completely natural. That object is there. The way that it pans and moves and keeps in focus, the way that there's no artificial wobble, there's no camera shake. It's a very, very reactionary video.
It's a very convincing video.
It is.
That's what it is.
I don't think that it is a Mylar balloon. I'm not saying that this thing is a UFO, but it's weird. And
it feeds into every, like we discussed, it feeds into every perception of these realistic accounts of UAPs and stuff, the shape of them, the way they move, the way they don't. It seems very similar to that. And just per chance, she filmed a Mylar manta ray in that. Just feels too coincidental for me.
Yeah. And
it's not dog doo-doo.
On top of that, if you are a pilot and you are flying and you see a Mylar balloon, you don't fly at it. If that thing gets caught up in, you think about if you hit a bird, planes of the Sully, that Hudson River plane crash, that was because of a flock of birds. Birds will absolutely destroy a propeller. A balloon will do the same thing. It will string up all of the prop, and you're going to cause a crash. If you saw a Mylar balloon, you move out of the way. It doesn't logically make sense what this thing could be, other than we don't know. One of the frustrating things about people like Mick West is they're like, it's a balloon, move on, that's it, I know it. It's everything has to be black or white. There is no grey area. No. Personally, if I'm a thing and I want to send a probe to a planet to have a little look around, probably going to make it so that it looks like something that is recognizable.
Camouflage.
If you go out into the jungle and you want to hunt, I don't know, a tiger or something, you don't dress in bright orange, do you? You put
it's like in nature documentaries. They make the cameras look like the animal they're filming.
Yeah.
So they just blend in. Yeah, but why would they send out a massive spiraling orange cube to recon a planet?
They would probably have a very reflective metallic object that could hover completely motionless in the air. That's my thinking. But what do I know? I didn't make Tony Hawk. 25 years ago, so
Mate,
I'm not an expert, am I?
It's a great game.
It is a great game. Just
a great game.
One particular person.
It's also a weird trajectory in careers. Sorry.
It is, yeah. I think he started writing for the New York Post now, which is quite annoying.
Oh.
So yeah, I wanted to bring that up. It was a nice little segue into something that a lot of it matches what Bob says about the way the crafts move.
Bob.
I love that Bob conversation we had in that episode. Good old Bob. But yeah, like you say, it matches the trajectory, the way that it moves. It's not a typical. Whenever you see fake UFO videos, it's very like, there's a saucer. Oh, there's the typical shape of it. Oh, it's moving very weird. Like they
take off like in these fake ones. Yes. They take off from the ground like a Harrier jet. Then they're able to get some form of propulsion to go into the sky.
Yeah.
But every single ones that you can't not dispute, but you don't know what's happening. They all move the same. It's very instantaneous or nothing. It's like no in between. It's odd.
And again, that nothingness is it is one of the 5 observables. It is that anti-gravitational tech that people like Lou Elizondo talk about. Like we have nothing at all that can stay completely motionless without massive amounts of energy being expended. If you look at a helicopter, the way that a helicopter has to stay up is it has to push the weight of air of a helicopter down at all times. Yeah. And that expends a lot of energy. This thing, whatever it is quite literally suspended in air doing nothing.
Well, everything needs to fight gravity, doesn't it? Everything that's off the ground needs to fight gravity. So,
and I just don't buy that it's a balloon, because if it is a weather balloon going up, where's the payload to it? And if the payload has come loose, the balloon wouldn't be stable. If the payload had come loose, like it would have shredded up. Like no one just gets a balloon and goes into the middle of the jungle in Cambodia and just goes, bye, see you later.
Plus, it does that. Says, like one of those Chinese lanterns on your birthday. Like, there you go.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, where should we let this off in the front garden? No. Let's go to the jungle.
The deep jungles of Cambodia. Yeah.
Yeah, and we'll let it off. We'll let it off there, and then hope that someone flies past it.
My friend, the model's actually flying a plane today.
Amazing.
Crazy. I wonder if she'll see
Let's
it.
let go of it. Let's let go of it now, and then in 2 hours, when it's high enough, she'll fly past at the exact same time, and then she can not want to talk about it with anyone. Yeah. Great.
I was also really hoping that the guy called Dressed in Black was against it, because like the people who dress in black are Men in Black. So I didn't trust him from the beginning.
He immediately shut it down, and then he made a coin disappear. That didn't have lips. So yeah, the last thing we're going to talk about today is, I can't believe I'm talking about Logan Paul.
Stay in your lane, Logan.
We'll go from where this began. This actually began about 1.5 years ago. There was talks that a very famous video called the Chuck Clark tape was in possession by Logan Paul. Logan Paul at the time denied it, said it's not true. I don't have the tape. It's not me. Don't worry. All false. Now, this Chuck Clark video is very famous. It's sort of the holy grail, as people have described it, of UFO videos. So it's like a red orb, sort of like a jelly bean, and it's swaying backwards and forwards. And there's these guys videoing it, like, oh my God, what is this? And apparently it's all very authentic, and it's swaying backwards and forwards. And then it gets closer to them and like bathes them in like a red light. And then you hear one of the guys go, "Oh, bleep the battery," because they're using an old VHS camera. This is like early 90s. "Oh crap, the battery." And then it goes. And it's like a 20-second video. Apparently it's very authentic. It's a very real video of something. And it was the 2 people that filmed it. Let's just say that they're not the sort of people who in the early 90s would have the requisite knowledge, money, or experience to CGI or computer generate something like this. So it's either a very good prop or it's the real deal. Now, series of still photos made their way onto Twitter. I'll try and find them while I'm telling the story. But a series of still photos appeared on Twitter with someone saying, "Does anyone know who filmed this? Because this is like the holy grail of videos, and I want to get a copy of it." And people were sort of saying, "Yes, I know who filmed it. It's this guy. He lives in the desert, but he won't want to share the video. I've just found the pictures." And he's like, he won't want to share the pictures all the videos, but I'll talk to him for you. And it's just a very weird way about it. And then it also went radio silent. So initially, Logan Paul has this video 20 odd years, 25 years after it was filmed. Then someone is asking, oh, I've just sent it to you now. Does anyone know who filmed this video? I need to speak to the owner of the video. And then Logan Paul said he didn't have it, and then it all very, very much went silent. And then last week, UFO documentarian James Fox went on the Joe Rogan podcast. I've watched it. Brilliant podcast. Really good. Talks very, very in-depth about the UAP phenomena. Personally, his film, Point of Contact, I think it's Point of Contact or Moment of Contact. Point of Contact.
Is it a documentary?
It is Moment of Contact. James Fox. Yeah, Moment of Contact. Personally, I don't believe the story. It's a town in Brazil, village in Brazil, where apparently a UFO landed, and an alien got out and walked through the town, and people interacted with it, and someone touched the alien and got really sick. And then there's a video that someone took.
There's seen in signs exactly like that, isn't there?
Yeah.
I think it's in Brazil as well.
That's where they got the idea for that.
Right, okay. I thought the guy was just sitting from M. Night.
So this was like early 90s, this apparently happened.
Oh, okay, fair enough.
And so, an alien lands, he gets out, he's literally a little green man. Like, he is a little green man.
He's Paul.
Look at me. It's a very poor area of Brazil. Obviously, mobile phones don't even exist then, let alone camera phones. And one person in the village has a camcorder, takes a video of the little green dude and of the UFO. It then all sort of goes silent. And then James Fox, when he was doing his first documentary in like the late 90s, someone mentioned to him, you need to go down to Brazil, you need to talk to these people. This little green man came out and someone touched him and nearly died, and all the village know about it. There's a big police cover-up. And he didn't believe it at all. And then he went down there, and now he fully believes this story to the point where he has made this documentary. But obviously, they don't release the video of the UFO or the alien, because why would you?
Yeah. Support your evidence. Nah.
Yeah, why would you do that? So personally, I don't believe the story. I believe that the people there believe the story, but I don't believe it myself. And I think James Fox has done a really good job of highlighting something that these people believe in. You don't have to believe in the story to think that it's interesting. It's a very interesting story, and James Fox believes these people. So it's just, this is where it goes mental, right? So James Fox has done this documentary about Brazil. He's on Joe Rogan to talk about this documentary. Before he starts getting into it, he goes, oh, by the way, Logan Paul has a copy of the Chuck Clark video. I just thought I'd just mention that. He's like, I was going to go get the video, but he wouldn't sell it to me. And he told me never to talk about it ever again. Chuck Clark in the desert, the man who lives in his caravan, who has the best evidence of UFOs ever. So Logan Paul asked me, where does he live? I want to go and have a chat with him.
Yeah.
So Logan Paul drives into the desert with $200,000 cash in his pocket, turns up at Chuck Clark's house and says, this was about 2 years ago, this is where the rumor started of him having the tape. He denied it. He said, I'll buy that tape from you right now. Here is $200,000 cash. But first, and he knew that Chuck was going to say no, he said, but first, I want to watch the video to make sure it's legit. So Chuck's a little bit apprehensive. He's like, look, here's the money. Hold the money first. Show me the video. So Chuck Clark gets the old VHS out and puts it in his telly. Logan's there watching it. That's really good. Can you rewind it? Can I watch it again? Yeah, sure. And then he moves over a bit, moves to his left and watches it. And he goes, I don't know. It doesn't look real to me. Can you show it to me again? Yeah. So he rewinds it. Logan watched this video like 3 or 4 times. And what Chuck Clark doesn't realize is he has a camera in his pocket, like a button camera.
Like
and he's filming the whole... Yeah, he's filming the whole thing. So Logan Paul has gone to this guy's house to buy the tape. But the thing is that Chuck Clark isn't the owner legally of the tape, because it's just some guy's tape that they gave to him. He's not the legal owner, but now Logan Paul has a copy of the tape. But is it illegal to own a copy, a secretly filmed copy of someone's home videos? But it then borders on like privacy issues and
voyeurism.
Like, I wouldn't, if I was showing someone like videos of like off my phone, like I wouldn't want someone videoing those videos. Like it then becomes a point of like, has what Logan has done constitute as being illegal. So Logan apparently now has been outed as having a copy of the video by James Fox on the Joe Rogan podcast, just as a complete oh, by the way, he does have the best evidence for UFOs ever. Maybe people need to ask Logan to release the video, because I'm not allowed to, and Chuck Clark's never going to release the video. And the video that Logan Paul has is of those images I just sent you. It is that video. So it begs the question, those images I've sent to you, how did they get online, first of all? Did Logan take screenshots of the video and send them to someone else who has then forwarded it on, and that's eventually got through to Jeremy Corbell and George Knapp? Has Chuck Clark released the pictures, even though he said he wouldn't, hoping that someone would come and buy the tape off of him, but then he turned him away? Or is it all nonsense? Is
there proof that they are of the video? Could it be an artistic interpretation, or someone's just drew what they've heard?
Yeah.
Is it?
So the images that I've sent to you.
Yeah.
And to describe it to the audio listeners, it's a series of red splodges. That is, but again, it's exactly as Bob Lazar describes them, because he says that when these crafts fly, they emit burning bright light, and they're amorphous blobs of energy, and they don't hold a consistent shape.
No.
And this is 1996. This is just a few years after Bob Lazar has come forward. But before Bob, the crucial part is, before he mentions the state of which these objects fly and the energy of them. Yeah. So again, like with the Mylar manta ray, here is another video, potentially, and images of something that very, very closely matches descriptions of UAPs that Bob Lazar has mentioned in the past. Now, whether or not you believe Bob Lazar, personally, I don't believe a lot of what he says. I believe some of it. I believe that he was the perfect fall guy, and they fed him a lot of misinformation. But
he said he was a victim of his own story, isn't he? I feel like it's just over. It's cyclized. He's just in this cycle of he got told this. It might have been truth, might have been lies. Who knows? But he's just sucked into it.
Who better to tell lots and lots of top secret UFO stuff to than a complete nutter who was arrested for owning brothels, who put jet engines in cars, who owed loads of money in debt, who had no real true friends at the time. He's
they would have background checked the hell out of him.
And he worked at S4, he worked at that facility. So why does the pictures artistic renditions? Are they a very, very cleverly put together Photoshop job? But why do they?
Or does it come from truth?
I don't know. And here's the thing. This is the frustrating thing. The frustrating thing about the UAP scene is that we're now relying on one person to release a video. And Logan Paul has said, I don't know if I want to release this. Why does it have to be a Logan Paul? I know. But if this is the tape that everyone is saying that it is, and apparently lots of people have seen this tape, but it's Lou Elizondo talks about this, there's a very famous UFO picture that if it was released would prove it without a doubt, and it's of a giant craft exiting the water, a big pyramid-shaped craft exiting the water, and it's very clearly a UFO, and there's nothing anyone could say otherwise. Why is not one person just taken a picture, uploaded it, and gone, here it is?
Yeah. We are in a world where everything is filmed 24 hours a day.
Mm-hmm.
If they can catch people falling over on Google Street, do you know what I mean?
Yeah. And this is the frustration about this entire phenomenon is, as we go deeper and deeper into this, you're gonna understand my frustration at this, is that this is potentially world-changing news, and Logan Paul doesn't know if he wants to release it or not.
You probably trade it for a Pokemon card.
Yeah, and again, follow the money, basically. There's a lot of money involved in this, and Logan will want to monetize this. That's the world we live in. He will want to make this a big deal, which it is. But if that's me and I've got a copy of the most incredible UFO footage ever, it's on my Twitter tomorrow. There's no doubt. It's up there. It's uploaded. I'm going to every single news station. I'm sharing this. Don't even give me a penny. Just, here you go. Have a copy of it. Every single news station in the world. Here's a copy of the video that will prove that UFOs and UAPs exist. But no.
It's in the hands of a man-child.
Logan Paul is afraid, in inverted commas, to release the video.
We should definitely have a sound come up every time we air quote, by the way.
We'll just get a fart noise.
Yeah.
It's just...
I don't like that.
Personally, I think it's all complete dog doo-doo. Like I said earlier, like you need to like... There's the context behind why I think this is dog doo-doo.
Yeah. It's that combination of...
a word of this.
How is it so super secretive, but lots of people have seen it.
Yeah. Like, this is the most secret and amazing video ever, but like 30 people have seen it to confirm it, and not
Does it
one
have, like,
of
movie
them
nights?
has thought.
No.
Yeah, not one of them has thought, I'll just put a lapel camera on.
Yeah, had to be Logan Paul, didn't it?
If it is real, well done, Logan, for having like any semblance of common sense. Not that he's ever been accused of having that before, but it's just...
Plus, if it was that real, he would have been surely someone like raided his house or something. Some of this community, if you're listening, sorry, are a bit crazy.
Oh, I can attest to that. I'm the top post of all time on UFOs.
I've seen that
because I like debunked a UFO. Like, if you literally go onto the subreddit, are UFOs top all time? Harry Go Lucky. My post is the top post of all time, and it's me debunking someone trying to convince people that some street light. Yeah, it's a lamppost. It's some street lights. Oh, it's a UFO. And I debunked it. And I was like, don't push skeptics out of this field, because this is what people try and do. I was accused of being a government plant. I had people direct messaging me, hoping that I killed myself. I had people finding my Twitter account and then spamming me on there. I had all of my posts on Reddit were reported. All of my posts on Twitter were reported. I had loads of people bot follow me, so someone sent like a follow bot after me. Probably cost them like $30, and then like overnight I had like 10,000 followers because they were all bots. Twitter knew that they were, so everything on my page got nerfed and no one could see what I was posting, and I got shadow banned. And I contacted Twitter and they got rid of literally all of them, and I went from like 300 followers to 10,300 in the space of like 5 minutes. I had pictures of my kids up on my Twitter account, had to take them down, then had them find my Facebook page through my Twitter account, and then I had to go private on that as well. Like, it's because I was like, don't push skeptics away, guys, because this is the sort of stuff that's happening.
Bit toxic. Not gonna lie.
Yeah. And people were like, how much is the government paying you? I'm like, what government? The US government. Well, I'm not from the US. I'm from England. I live in a little town in the southwest of England. Oh, yeah, well, you're obviously a sleeper agent then. Dude,
I'm going to start calling you
H. Bored. Agent H. Like, I'm bored. I'm on the toilet, and I spent 5 minutes on Google Maps. It's not that difficult. Yeah. So, personally, the UAP community is mental, nuts, in the best possible way. The best way, because you get people that are like, maybe this isn't a UFO, maybe it could be this, and then you like pivot, and it's like, there are lizard people living under the ocean, and they're all going to swarm us in 7 months, and I love it. It's exhausting, but out of all of those like lumps that are thrown at the wall, something will always stick.
Yeah.
And I just feel like this Chuck Clark video is just something that's been thrown at the wall. It's too good to be true. It's the best like video of a UFO ever, and Logan Paul has it.
One of the most air quote popular social media people that happens to
one of
have
the best boxers in the world.
He has a secret recording of a secret video.
Yeah. And now he's afraid to release it.
Yeah, so he has a secret about a secret.
Yeah. He secretly videoed a secret video
that
of
he's secretly holding.
And now he's secretly holding it, and he doesn't. It's just mad. Yeah. But personally, I don't believe a word of the Chuck Clark story, and I don't think Logan Paul is anything other than a money-chasing opportunist. Sorry if someone listening to this really likes Logan Paul. I didn't know we had 5-year-olds listening to this, but...
Yeah, if you're listening to Logan Paul and this, then don't.
Yeah, don't pick a side. But yeah,
he's going to have it as his ring entrance in WWE. That's what he'll do. He'll have it on the big screens when WWE as he's walking in.
You don't even give him the idea of that happening. So yeah, that sums up the last 6 months of UAP phenomena news in just under an hour. I think we did all right.
Balloons and Logan Paul.
Not manatee balloons. Manta ray.
Manta ray balloon.
Manta ray balloons. That was nice. Good. That was nice being back.
Oh, good to dive headfirst into insanity. I love it.
It felt like, as always, I just talked incessantly non-stop. But you got a few words in, James.
I love it though. Like, you know, I'm like the audience. I'm just the observant listener. I am a trained listener.
You're a trained listener. You sit. That'll be in the next shirt I do in the merch line.
The trained listener, yeah.
Yeah, trained listener. I love it. It's been great to come back. We
as always,
will have another episode coming up less than 6 months, so don't worry, guys.
Yeah.
Next week, potentially, I don't know how it's going to line up yet. There's a chap that I used to do a podcast with, Duncan. He is one of my favourite human beings ever. He is massively into paranormal phenomena. He's had a few experiences with ghosts, he tells me.
Great.
Now, I'm not someone who's massively into ghosts, although I am coming around to the idea, and my partner Shannon has a very, very terrifying story that I will tell during Duncan's episode. The timing, I don't know if he'll be on next week or the week after, so I'll have to chat to him and find out what's going on.
Of course, man.
If next week isn't Duncan, it will then be us talking about Nope, and it won't just be about the film Nope. I was thinking we could do like a watch along, but we've only got a 2-hour time limit to record, and it wouldn't work, I don't think. But maybe in the future, who knows? We'll watch Close Encounters together. Exactly. And we're going to discuss our thoughts and opinions on Nope, but we're also going to be discussing the impact that the media has on the phenomena, and also that ever-encroaching disclosure conversation.
Yep.
And then definitely in 3 weeks' time, because I need to do a lot of research into it, and I'm not going to do what I did last time and do a case file every week because my head nearly exploded.
No.
We will be doing a case file, and it's going to be either the aerial school sighting where up to 300 children interacted with 2 potential aliens in a craft. It's going to be either the aerial school in Zimbabwe.
So the stunned silence, by the way.
Yeah, that's one. It's a good one. So it'll be aerial school. It will be the Phoenix Lights, or it may be a little ditty that's quite local to me and James that I need to do a lot more research into to see the viability of it, if I can make it a full episode.
Yeah.
But there was apparently quite a famous UFO sighting about 20 minutes from us. So yeah, I'm going to look into that a little bit.
Very
as well.
close. Was it the Moors?
Yeah. So it started in Barnstable in North Devon, where I'm actually from. So
That's very close to me.
I need to speak to my dad about it to see if he knows anything about it.
Oh wow.
And then it travelled like up past Wales, and then also I think across to Holland, because it's obviously just the other side of the channel.
Yeah.
So it's like multi-country, multicultural, the immigrant UFOs coming over here, stealing our cows.
Stealing our Logan pools.
Yeah, exactly. Oh, they can do that. It's fine.
Take it.
Yeah, take him, please. So thank you very much, everyone. If you are still here, it's been amazing to be back. James, it's been a pleasure.
So good.
Here
Thank
as
you.
well. If there's anything that you want us to talk about in the future, just find us on Twitter, PodNormality. Find us on Facebook, ParaNormality. Or like I said, go into our link tree, linktr.ee/paranormality podcast. You can just ask us a question directly through our link tree, or find us on socials, and I'm sure I'll pick it up after a few days if I remember to look.
I deleted Twitter.
I nearly did after Elon, but that's another podcast episode.
Oh, he's an alien. Alien Musk over there. Yeah.
Alien Musk. Well, James, it's been lovely. Thank you very much.
Yeah, cheers, Harry.
And as always, open your mind and watch the skies, and we'll see you soon. Bye.
See ya.